Many foreign men come to the Philippines thinking that dating here is easy. They believe that Filipinas are naturally loving, devoted, and eager to be in relationships with foreign men. But the truth is, many foreigners make mistakes that ruin their chances before they even realize it. If you don't understand the cultural differences, the expectations, and the common mistakes, you might find yourself losing the woman you thought would be yours forever. Today, we are going to talk about how to avoid ruining your chances with a Filipina and what you need to do to build a successful relationship. At first, everything seems perfect. The moment you arrive in the Philippines, you feel an instant connection with the women here. Filipinas are naturally friendly and welcoming, making it easy for a foreigner to feel at home. Unlike in the West, where dating can be complicated with unclear expectations, relationships in the Philippines feel more straightforward. A Filipina does not play games. If she likes you, she will show it. She calls you sweet names, sends you good morning and good night messages, and constantly checks on you to make sure you are okay. Many foreign men quickly fall in love with this kind of attention. It feels good to be cared for, to have someone who wants to spend time with you, and to feel truly appreciated. A Filipina makes you feel like you are the most important person in her life. She makes an effort to cook for you, to look beautiful for you, and to make you feel comfortable. She is affectionate, and she shows her love in ways that feel pure and genuine. Because everything seems so perfect, many foreigners believe that relationships in the Philippines are easy. They think that once they are with a Filipina, they will never have to worry about dating problems again. But the truth is, this is only the beginning. While love in the Philippines is real, it also comes with responsibilities and cultural expectations that many foreigners do not realize at first. And if you are not careful, you might make mistakes that will ruin your chances of having a successful relationship. One of the biggest mistakes that foreign men make is taking a Filipina's love for granted. When a woman is so caring and devoted, some men start to believe that she will always be there, no matter what. They stop putting in effort. They become lazy in the relationship, thinking that they don't need to do anything to keep her happy. At first, a Filipina will tolerate this. She is naturally patient, and she wants to believe that the love between you is strong enough to overcome any problem. But over time, she will start to feel unappreciated. She will notice if you no longer make an effort to make her happy. She will see if you are not as affectionate as before. And once she starts feeling neglected, the relationship will begin to fall apart. Another common mistake is misunderstanding a Filipina's jealousy. Many foreigners see it as a small problem in the beginning. They think it's cute that she cares so much about them. They like that she asks where they are, who they are with, and what they are doing. But as time goes on, they start feeling like they are losing their freedom. A Filipina is naturally protective of her relationship. If she feels that her man is not being loyal, she will become insecure. She wants to be sure that she is the only woman in his life. If she sees him talking to another woman, she will ask questions. If he takes too long to reply to her messages, she will start wondering why. Many foreigners make the mistake of ignoring this jealousy or dismissing it as unimportant. They do not take the time to reassure their Filipina that she is the only one for them. Instead, they get frustrated and start arguing. But in a relationship with a Filipina, communication is very important. If you do not handle her jealousy with patience and understanding, she will start feeling like you don't care about her feelings. And once a Filipina starts feeling insecure in the relationship, things will become more difficult. Another major mistake that foreigners make is not respecting the role of family in a Filipina's life. In Western countries, relationships are usually just between two people. But in the Philippines, family is always involved. A Filipina does not just marry a man, she brings him into her entire family. At first, this seems like a good thing. Her family is welcoming, kind, and always making sure you feel comfortable. But as the relationship becomes more serious, you will start to realize that her family's opinion matters a lot. If they do not approve of you, it will create problems. If they think you are not treating her well, they will advise her to leave. Many foreigners do not take this seriously. They think that as long as the Filipina loves them, nothing else matters. But in Filipino culture, family always comes first. If you do not make an effort to build a good relationship with her parents and siblings, it could lead to problems later. Some men also make the mistake of assuming that they can make all the decisions in the relationship without considering her family's opinions. But if you do not respect her family, she will feel like you do not respect her values. Then, there is the topic of money. Many foreigners believe that if a Filipina never asks for money, then finances will never be an issue. But in reality, money is a very sensitive topic in Filipino relationships. A Filipina is very loyal to her family, and if they need help, she will feel responsible to support them. At first, she might not say anything. She does not want to seem like she is asking for money. But over time, she might start mentioning her family's struggles. She might talk about how hard life is, how expensive school fees are, or how her parents are struggling with medical bills. Many foreigners do not know how to handle this situation. Some start giving money without thinking, only to realize later that they are expected to continue providing financial support. Others refuse to help at all, thinking that their Filipina will still love them the same way. But the best way to handle financial discussions is to be open about them from the beginning. You need to set boundaries and make sure both of you understand each other's expectations. If you do not, money problems can quickly become one of the biggest reasons why relationships fail. Finally, one of the most common mistakes that foreigners make is rushing into marriage. In the Philippines, marriage is seen as a serious commitment. Divorce is not an option, and annulments are expensive and difficult. Many foreigners think that getting married will solve any relationship problems they have. They believe that once they are married, their Filipina will never leave them, that jealousy will go away, and that the relationship will become more stable. But in reality, marriage only increases the responsibilities and expectations in the relationship. If you marry too quickly without truly understanding what your Filipina expects from the marriage, you might find yourself in a situation that is difficult to escape. So, how do you avoid ruining your chances with a Filipina? The most important thing is to take your time. Do not rush into a relationship thinking that love alone will solve everything. Communicate openly about your expectations, your values, and your future plans. Respect her family and understand the role they play in her life. Be patient with her emotions and make sure she feels secure in the relationship. And most importantly, be realistic about finances and long-term commitment before making any big decisions. If you can do these things, you have a much better chance of building a strong and happy relationship with a Filipina. But if you ignore these realities and rush in without thinking, you might find yourself losing the love of a woman who could have been the best partner you ever had. Are you ready to build something real, or will you make the mistakes that many others have made before? The choice is yours. At first, everything feels effortless. A Filipina welcomes you with warmth, treats you with respect, and makes you feel like the most important person in her life. She calls you sweet names, checks on you constantly, and always wants to spend time with you. Unlike in the West, where relationships can feel complicated or full of uncertainty, love in the Philippines feels straightforward and real. You start to believe that you have finally found the kind of love you have always wanted. She makes you feel special in ways you never expected. Every morning, she greets you with a sweet message, making sure you start your day with a smile. If you are sick, she takes care of you like no one else ever has. She makes an effort to cook for you, even if she doesn't have to. She makes sure you are comfortable, always asking if you need anything. If you have a problem, she listens and gives you emotional support. Unlike in many Western relationships, where both partners value their independence, a Filipina values togetherness. She sees love as something that should be nurtured every single day. You notice how much she prioritizes the relationship. She includes you in her daily life, talks about her future with you, and makes sure you always feel important. She does not like to argue, she avoids drama, and she focuses on making things work. She appreciates the little things. If you surprise her with small gifts or sweet gestures, she cherishes them. Unlike in some Western cultures, where relationships can be casual or uncertain, with a Filipina, there is no guessing game. If she loves you, she will show it in everything she does. At first, you feel like you have found the perfect woman. You don't have to chase her, you don't have to play games. She is open, honest, and affectionate. You feel lucky, thinking you finally have a relationship where you don't have to worry about being taken for granted. But as time goes on, small things start to change. Her devotion, which once felt sweet and effortless, starts to feel a little overwhelming. She begins to ask more questions. She wants to know where you are, what you are doing, and who you are with at all times. At first, this attention feels good. It makes you feel wanted. But then, you realize that she expects you to respond to her messages immediately. If you don't reply fast enough, she starts asking if something is wrong. If you go out without her, she becomes quiet or sad, wondering why you didn't invite her. If you spend time alone, she asks what you are thinking about. At first, it seems like she just cares about you deeply, but after a while, it starts to feel like you are constantly being monitored. Then, there is the jealousy. At first, it seems harmless. She asks about the women who like your photos on social media. She wants to know if you are still in contact with your ex. If you mention a female friend, she asks questions about her. At first, this seems cute. After all, it just means she loves you, right? But as time goes on, it becomes more intense. If she sees you talking to another woman, even in a completely innocent way, she asks about it later. If you don't reassure her enough, she starts to worry. No matter how many times you tell her she is the only one, she still asks for more proof. She also wants to be part of every aspect of your life. In Western relationships, personal space is often valued, but in the Philippines, love means togetherness. A Filipina believes that a relationship should be close and intimate. She wants to be involved in your decisions, your daily routine, and your future plans. She wants to know everything about you, not because she doesn't trust you, but because she feels that is what love is. If you are not used to this kind of relationship, it can start to feel overwhelming. Then, there is her family. In the beginning, you admired how much she loved and respected them. She told you stories about her childhood, about how her parents sacrificed for her, about how she is close to her siblings. You thought it was beautiful how strong the family bond is in the Philippines. But soon, you realized that her family is not just important to her, they are part of your relationship too. She consults her family before making big decisions. If you and her have a problem, she talks to them about it before she talks to you. If her family has an opinion about your relationship, she listens to them. You start to realize that you are not just dating her, you are also involved with her entire family. If they like you, things are easy. But if they don't approve of you, it can create tension. Then, financial expectations start to appear. At first, she never asks for money. She never makes you feel like she is with you for financial security. But as the relationship becomes more serious, she starts talking about her family's struggles. She tells you that her younger sibling needs school fees, that her parents need medical help, that life is difficult. She never directly asks for money, but she shares these stories in a way that makes you feel like you should help. At first, you don't mind. You love her, so you want to support her. You give a little money to help with her siblings' education, and she thanks you, telling you how much she appreciates you. But then, another problem comes up. And another. Slowly, you start to feel like you are being seen as a provider. If you ever say no, she does not argue, but she looks disappointed. She says she understands, but she becomes distant. You feel guilty, wondering if you should have helped more. And then, there is the pressure for marriage. In the Philippines, marriage is not something that is taken lightly. It is a lifelong commitment, and in Filipino culture, divorce is not an option. A Filipina expects that if you are serious about her, marriage will be the natural next step. She does not want to wait for years. If you love her, why would you hesitate? Many foreigners rush into marriage, thinking it will make their relationship even stronger. They believe that once they are married, their Filipina will feel more secure, and any small problems will disappear. But in reality, marriage only increases the expectations. Now, you are not just her boyfriend, you are her husband, and with that title comes responsibilities. If you were already feeling pressured before, marriage will not fix it, it will only make it more permanent. For some men, this is when they start feeling trapped. They love their Filipina, but they also feel like they have lost their independence. They feel obligated to provide for her family, to reassure her constantly, to include her in every part of their life. They realize that they never truly understood what they were getting into. And because divorce is not an option, they feel like they have no easy way out. But not all relationships end this way. Some foreigners take their time before making a commitment. They ask the right questions early in the relationship. They set boundaries before financial expectations become an issue. They make sure their Filipina loves them for who they are, not just for what they can provide. So, is love in the Philippines easy? The truth is, it depends. It is deep, real, and meaningful, but it comes with expectations. If you take your time, communicate openly, and understand the cultural differences, you can build a strong, lasting relationship. But if you rush in, believing only in the fantasy, you may find yourself facing challenges you never expected. Before making any big decisions, ask yourself if you are truly ready for everything that comes with dating a Filipina. As time goes on, some men start taking their Filipina for granted. They assume that just because she is loving and devoted, she will tolerate anything. Some men become distant, stop putting in effort, or think that jealousy is just a cute part of her personality. Others make the mistake of ignoring the role of family, not realizing that her family's approval and involvement are a big part of the relationship. And one of the biggest mistakes is assuming that money is not an issue. Many foreigners do not talk about finances early on, leading to misunderstandings later. At first, everything seems fine. The relationship feels effortless, and she continues to show her love and care. She still greets him every morning with sweet messages, still asks about his day, still makes sure he is eating well and feeling good. She still makes him feel wanted, needed, and appreciated. But slowly, small things start to change. She starts noticing that he doesn't respond to her messages as quickly as before. He no longer makes the same effort to surprise her with small gifts or affectionate gestures. He becomes more comfortable, less attentive, assuming that because she is devoted to him, she will always be there no matter what. At first, she doesn't say anything. A Filipina is naturally patient, and she does not like to start arguments. But inside, she begins to feel unappreciated. She starts wondering if he still loves her the same way. She notices when he does not say, "I love you," as often. She sees that he does not try as hard to make her feel special anymore. And when she starts feeling insecure, she starts asking more questions. She starts looking for reassurance, and if she does not get it, she starts to worry. Then, there is the jealousy. In the beginning, a foreign man may think it is cute when his Filipina asks about his female friends, his social media interactions, or his past relationships. He may even feel flattered that she cares so much. But over time, he starts to feel like he is constantly being watched. If he talks to another woman, she asks about it later. If he goes out without her, she wants to know where he was, who he was with, and what he did. If he takes too long to respond to her messages, she asks if he is ignoring her. What started as affection now starts to feel like control. He doesn't see it as a big deal at first. He reassures her, tells her she has nothing to worry about, and continues with his life. But the more distant he becomes, the worse her insecurity grows. If he doesn't text her as much, she wonders if he is losing interest. If he doesn't invite her to every outing, she thinks he doesn't want her around. If he doesn't respond with the same excitement he once did, she starts to fear that he is getting bored. Then, there is the family. In Western cultures, relationships are usually just between two people. But in the Philippines, family is always involved. A Filipina does not just commit to a man, she also expects him to be part of her family's life. In the beginning, this feels like a beautiful thing. He enjoys meeting her parents and siblings, experiencing the warmth and hospitality of Filipino family culture. He feels welcomed, accepted, and appreciated. But as time passes, he starts to realize that her family's influence is stronger than he expected. She does not make big decisions alone, she consults her parents and siblings first. If they have an opinion about the relationship, she listens to them. If they have a problem with him, she takes it seriously. And if they need financial help, she feels responsible for supporting them. At first, she never asked for money. She made it clear that she was not with him for financial reasons. But one day, she casually mentions that her younger sibling is struggling with school fees. Another time, she talks about how expensive medical treatment is for her parents. She never directly asks for help, but she shares these problems in a way that makes him feel like he should offer. So he does. He loves her, and he wants to support her. He gives a little to help, thinking it is just a small favor. But then, another request comes. And another. And slowly, he realizes that he is not just supporting his Filipina, he is also supporting her family. He starts to feel pressure, but at the same time, he feels guilty if he refuses. If he says no, she does not argue, but she looks disappointed. She says she understands, but she becomes quieter, less affectionate. He starts wondering if her love was real, or if she only saw him as a provider. At the same time, he notices that her family is involved in their personal issues. If they have a disagreement, she talks to her mother or siblings about it before talking to him. If he makes a decision she doesn't like, her family knows about it immediately. He starts to feel like their relationship is not just between them, it is between him and her entire family. And then, there is marriage. In Filipino culture, marriage is seen as the ultimate commitment. Many Filipinas do not want to wait for years in a relationship without a clear future. If a foreign man is serious about her, she expects that marriage will come sooner rather than later. Some men assume that getting married will make their relationship stronger, that it will remove any doubts or insecurities. But in reality, marriage only increases the expectations. Many foreigners do not realize that the Philippines does not have divorce. Once you are married, leaving the relationship is extremely difficult. If things go wrong, there is no easy way out. Some men find themselves in unhappy marriages but feel trapped because they do not want to abandon their wife. Others continue to provide financial support even after the relationship has fallen apart, simply because they feel obligated. For some men, all of this becomes too much. They start to feel overwhelmed, like they have lost their personal space, their independence, and their ability to make decisions for themselves. They feel like they are constantly having to reassure their Filipina, constantly proving their love, constantly balancing the expectations of her family. But not all relationships end this way. Some men take their time before making a commitment. They ask the right questions early on. They communicate openly about finances, family expectations, and personal boundaries. They make sure their Filipina loves them for who they are, not just for what they can provide. The foreigners who succeed in relationships with Filipinas are the ones who approach love with both heart and mind. They respect her culture, but they also set boundaries. They make sure that both partners are happy, not just one. They do not rush into marriage just because it feels good in the beginning. They take the time to truly understand what they are committing to. So, is love with a Filipina as easy as it seems? The truth is, it depends. Love in the Philippines is deep and real, but it comes with responsibilities and expectations. If you take your time, communicate openly, and respect her values while also maintaining your own, you can have a strong and fulfilling relationship. But if you rush in blindly, believing only in the fantasy, you may find yourself facing challenges you never expected. Before making any big decisions, ask yourself if you are truly ready for everything that comes with dating a Filipina. For many foreigners, these mistakes lead to frustration, conflict, or even heartbreak. A relationship that once felt perfect now feels full of tension. A Filipina who once adored you now seems distant. She feels neglected, unappreciated, or hurt. Some men don't realize what went wrong until it's too late. And for those who rushed into marriage without understanding the culture, they find themselves in situations where leaving is not as easy as they thought. At first, everything seemed effortless. She was loving, affectionate, and always making sure you were happy. She checked on you, made you feel special, and made you believe that you had finally found the kind of love that was rare in your home country. She never complained, never argued, and always tried to make things work. But over time, small cracks started to appear in the relationship. At first, they seemed insignificant, tiny moments of jealousy, subtle expectations, the occasional silent treatment when she was upset. You brushed them off, thinking they were just normal parts of a relationship. But the truth was, they were early warnings of deeper issues that would grow if they were ignored. You start to notice that she no longer greets you with the same excitement she used to. Her morning messages become shorter, less affectionate. She still asks about your day, but there is something different in her tone, less warmth, less excitement. When you try to hold her hand or surprise her with a sweet gesture, she responds, but without the same enthusiasm she once had. You ask her what's wrong, and she says, nothing. But you can feel the difference. The relationship doesn't feel as easy as it once did. You try to think back to what might have changed. Maybe you became too comfortable in the relationship. Maybe you stopped putting in as much effort. In the beginning, you made her feel like she was the most important person in your life. But now, maybe you take her for granted. You assume she will always be there, always loving, always patient. But she is human, too. She notices when you stop appreciating her. She notices when you no longer say, thank you, when she does something nice for you. She feels it when you don't tell her she looks beautiful anymore, when you don't hold her as tightly as you used to. Then, there's the jealousy. At first, it was small, just a few questions about who you were talking to, who you were with, why you didn't reply to her messages immediately. You thought it was just a sign of how much she cared. But over time, it became more intense. Now, every time you go out, she asks for details, where you're going, who will be there, how long you will be out. If she sees you talking to another woman, even if it's completely innocent, she becomes quiet or distant. She doesn't always say what's on her mind, but you can feel the tension. You start to feel like you have to constantly reassure her, constantly prove your love. Then, the expectations start to weigh on you. In the beginning, she never asked for anything. She made it clear that she wasn't with you for money, that she loved you for who you were. But slowly, things changed. It started with small comments, stories about how her family was struggling, how life was hard, how she wished she could help her parents more. She never asked for money directly, but she waited to see if you would offer. And because you loved her, you did. You wanted to help. But then, more requests came. A little help with rent, some money for her siblings' education, support for medical bills. Each time, it seemed like just a small favor. But over time, you started to feel like you were expected to provide, like your role in the relationship had changed from being her partner to being her financial support. If you ever said no, she didn't get angry. But she became sad. She said she understood, but she wasn't as affectionate afterward. She didn't laugh at your jokes as much, didn't hold your hand as often. You started to feel guilty, like you had done something wrong. You wondered if you should have given more. You wondered if she was disappointed in you. And then, there's the role of her family. In Filipino culture, family is everything. When you started dating her, you admired how close she was to them. She talked about her parents with so much love, she visited them often, and she always made sure they were taken care of. But now, you realize that their opinions matter more than you expected. If you have a disagreement, she talks to her family about it before talking to you. If her parents don't approve of something, she listens to them. It starts to feel like you are not just in a relationship with her, you are in a relationship with her entire family. For those who rushed into marriage, the situation is even more complicated. Many foreigners think that marriage will make things better, that it will make a Filipina feel more secure, that it will remove her jealousy or financial worries. But in reality, marriage only increases the expectations. And in the Philippines, marriage is not something you can walk away from easily. Divorce is not an option. The only way out is annulment, which is expensive, difficult, and can take years. Some foreigners find themselves feeling trapped, stuck in a situation they no longer want but cannot easily leave. For some men, this is when the frustration turns into regret. They think back to the beginning, to the days when everything felt easy, when love was simple and pure. They wonder if they could have done things differently. Maybe they should have communicated better, set boundaries earlier, talked about finances sooner. Maybe they should have taken more time to understand her culture before making big commitments. But by the time they realize their mistakes, it is often too late. But not every relationship ends in frustration. Some foreigners take their time, learn from others, and avoid the common mistakes. They ask the right questions early on. They talk openly about finances, family involvement, and personal space before the relationship becomes too serious. They make sure that their Filipina is with them for love, not just for security. They set boundaries, making it clear that while they respect her family, they cannot be responsible for them financially. The men who succeed in relationships with Filipinas are those who approach love with both heart and mind. They respect her culture but also make sure their own needs are met. They do not assume that love alone will solve everything. They put in effort, they communicate, and they make sure both partners feel valued and appreciated. So, what is the lesson here? Love in the Philippines is real, but it is not always easy. It comes with deep emotions, cultural expectations, and responsibilities. If you take your time, communicate openly, and understand what you are getting into, you can have a beautiful, fulfilling relationship. But if you rush in without thinking, without setting expectations, without understanding the reality, you may find yourself facing challenges you never expected. Before making any big decisions, ask yourself, are you truly ready for the reality of dating a Filipina? If the answer is yes, then be patient, be honest, and be willing to learn. True love in the Philippines is possible, but only if you approach it with the right mindset. If you want to avoid ruining your chances with a Filipina, you need to understand her culture, respect her values, and communicate openly. A strong relationship with a Filipina is built on mutual trust, appreciation, and effort. Take your time, ask the right questions, and make sure you are both on the same page before making any big decisions. If you do this, you can experience a love that is genuine, loyal, and lasting. But if you rush in blindly, ignoring the reality, you might find yourself losing something truly special. Are you ready for the reality of dating a Filipina? At first, everything seems perfect. A Filipina is naturally warm, loving, and devoted. She makes you feel important, constantly checking on you, showing affection, and making sure you are happy. Unlike in some Western relationships where emotional distance is common, a Filipina prioritizes love and connection. She wants to be close to you, to build a life together, to know everything about you. This kind of love feels refreshing and special, especially for men who are not used to this level of attention and care. But while this love is real, it comes with responsibilities. Many foreigners make the mistake of believing that love in the Philippines is simple and effortless. They think that because a Filipina is naturally caring, she will always be patient and forgiving. They assume that her love will always remain the same, no matter what they do. But love, no matter where you are in the world, requires effort. If you stop appreciating her, if you stop making her feel special, she will start to feel neglected. And when she feels unappreciated, the relationship will begin to suffer. A Filipina gives her heart fully, but she also needs reassurance. She needs to know that you love her as much as she loves you. If she feels that your attention is fading, she will start asking more questions. She will wonder why you are not texting her as much as before. She will notice if you don't compliment her anymore. She will feel hurt if you stop doing the small things that made her happy. This is when many foreigners start to feel overwhelmed. They think she is being too needy, too emotional, too sensitive. But the truth is, she is simply reacting to what she feels. She is deeply invested in the relationship, and she expects the same from you. Another mistake that foreigners make is underestimating how much family matters in a Filipina's life. In many Western cultures, relationships are mainly between two people. But in the Philippines, a relationship often includes family as well. A Filipina is raised to respect her parents and to be close to her siblings. Her family's approval matters to her. If they do not like you, it will create problems. If they think you are not treating her well, they will advise her to leave. And if they need financial help, she will feel responsible for supporting them. At first, you might think that her family is just being protective, that they are simply curious about who she is dating. But as the relationship becomes more serious, you will start to see that their influence is strong. She listens to them, asks for their advice, and takes their opinion seriously. If you do not take the time to build a good relationship with her family, it can create tension. Some foreigners make the mistake of ignoring this or thinking it doesn't matter. But in Filipino culture, family always comes first. Financial expectations are another issue that many foreigners fail to discuss early in the relationship. A Filipina will never ask for money in the beginning. She wants to prove that she is with you for love, not for financial support. But over time, she may start mentioning her family's struggles. She may talk about how hard life is, how school fees for her younger sibling are expensive, how medical bills for her parents are difficult to pay. She does not ask directly, but she waits to see if you will offer to help. At first, you may not see anything wrong with this. You love her, and you want to help. You give a little money to help her family, and she is grateful. But then, more requests come. A little extra for rent, some money for groceries, support for a sick relative. Each time, it seems like just a small favor. But one day, you realize that you are not just supporting her, you are supporting her entire family. If you say no, she does not argue, but she becomes quiet, distant. She says she understands, but you can feel that she is disappointed. And you start to wonder, was this love real, or were you just seen as a provider? Another major mistake is ignoring her jealousy. Many foreigners think it is cute at first when a Filipina asks about who they are talking to, who they are with, and why they took so long to reply to a message. They see it as a sign of how much she cares. But over time, it can become suffocating. If she sees you talking to another woman, even in an innocent way, she will ask about it later. If you do not answer her messages fast enough, she will worry. If you do not post about her on social media, she might feel like you are hiding the relationship. This level of attachment is normal in Filipino culture, but for foreigners who are not used to it, it can feel overwhelming. Some men react the wrong way by becoming distant, ignoring her concerns, or getting frustrated. But if she does not feel reassured, her insecurity will only grow. She needs to know that she is the only one, that she is important to you, that she can trust you. If you do not handle this properly, her jealousy will create tension in the relationship. Then, there is marriage. Many foreigners assume that marriage will solve all their relationship problems. They believe that once they are married, the jealousy will disappear, the financial worries will go away, and everything will be more stable. But in reality, marriage only increases the expectations. In the Philippines, marriage is forever. Divorce is not an option, and annulments are difficult and expensive. Once you are married, you are fully committed, and leaving is not easy. Some foreigners rush into marriage without fully understanding this. They think that marriage will make their Filipina feel more secure, that it will remove any doubts she has. But if the relationship already has problems, marriage will not fix them, it will only make them more permanent. Many foreigners who rush into marriage later regret it when they realize they were not fully prepared for the responsibilities that come with it. But not all relationships fail. Many foreigners have happy, lasting relationships with Filipinas because they take their time. They do not rush into commitments without understanding what they are getting into. They talk openly about finances, family expectations, and personal boundaries. They make sure their Filipina is with them for love, not just for security. They respect her culture while also making sure their own needs are met. If you want a successful relationship with a Filipina, you must approach it with both heart and mind. Love in the Philippines is real, but it comes with expectations. If you take the time to understand these expectations, to communicate openly, and to show appreciation for her love, you can build a strong and fulfilling relationship. But if you rush in blindly, believing only in the fantasy, you may find yourself facing challenges you never expected. Before making any big decisions, ask yourself, are you truly ready for the reality of dating a Filipina? If the answer is yes, then be patient, be honest, and be willing to learn. True love in the Philippines is possible, but only if you approach it with the right mindset.